So the other night, the extraordinary mind behind Grippy, Jermaine Lamarr Cole, surprise dropped a new song on his YouTube channel titled Port Antonio. And in it, we get to finally hear his thoughts on the whole Drake vs Kendrick Lamar saga that Cole himself played a big role in. Now, I have lots of thoughts on how J. Cole handled this entire situation in this song, but before we get to that, I want to talk about how the track sounds. Honestly, I really like it sound-wise. Look, I've never been a huge J. Cole fan or anything, and he's certainly not known for having incredible production, but everything on Port Antonio is really solid in my opinion. Super clean instrumental with an iconic sample also used in Jay-Z's Dead Presidents 2 laced into it. Definitely reminds me of Cole's earliest mixtapes, like a lot of people have been saying. And as a D1 Cole hater, even I can admit that he truly has a voice built for rapping, and I think this track really shows how long he can carry a beat just off of the strength of his delivery. Now the hook admittedly is a little bit meh, but it's such a short part in what's otherwise an excellent vocal performance from Cole, to the point where it almost makes me forgive some of the more questionable stuff he raps about in the verses. Almost. But before we talk about the lines that I really do not like, there are some good bars in here that I feel deserve a mention. To find delivery as good as mine, you gotta search primes is a really nice triple meaning of the word primes, and not to mention a fairly accurate flex like we went over. Mono e mono, I'm Bono, I'm you times 2 is another great one, I think. And there's also I fiend for the perks that was seen flipping birds, so we was skipping church but my eyes was on the sparrows. It's a really cool bit of imagery that also mixes a Bible reference with a cocaine reference, which is awesome. What's even better too is besides the Drake vs Kendrick lines, I think Cole's rapping is actually really consistent. Other than the painfully basic, I'm scaling heights higher than birds can perch, I can't think of another line on here that stood out to me as really bad. So with all of this going in Port Antonio's favor, you'd think I'd easily be able to call it a good song. However, like I alluded to earlier, the way J. Cole speaks on the beef on this track, after sitting on it for a while, just really rubs me the wrong way. So I guess we might as well talk about why then. First of all, I want to talk about this line where Cole seemingly claims that had he stayed in the beef instead of dropping out and apologizing to Kendrick, he would have not lost the battle. And I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. He absolutely would have lost. Like, we all heard 7-Minute Drill. And that's really my main problem with how Cole tackles the topic on here. His whole narrative of avoiding the feud because he saw things were gonna get ugly and didn't want to partake in the mudslinging only works if 7-Minute Drill didn't exist. So now he's trying to act like he's this bigger man for stepping out of the beef, now claiming that Drake and Kendrick were only doing it for profit, but like, you dropped a diss track too. Hell, you dropped before Drake. Not to mention, Cole gave an extremely different reason as to why he dropped out of the beef when he was apologizing to Kendrick on stage. And also him saying that he's now happy of being free of the Big 3 label that he himself put on wax on First Person Shooter. To me, this whole verse feels like J. Cole just really wants to keep his GOAT conversation status, and knows in order to do that, he has to erase 7-Minute Drill from the general public's memory. Because again, he spent the last decade plus telling us that his pen can't be touched and that other rappers don't want the smoke with him, and the first time he's properly put to the test, he releases a super mid diss track and apologizes for it less than 48 hours later. And another thing that just really annoys me about Cole's whole stance on here is his straight up obsession with fence sitting. Like the whole part near the end of the second verse where he assures his bestie Drake that he'll always be there for him is just so dumb. Look, I know Cole is definitely more of a pacifist here, but I just don't understand how he could so confidently glaze a man who, one, turned his back on him and dissed him in this very beef that he's talking about, and two, is an alleged PDF file with a lot of evidence of creepy behavior towards minors. Plus, he still wants to be on good terms with Kendrick? I'm sorry, but you just can't have it both ways. Kendrick literally said in Euphoria, to anyone that still messes with Drake, fuck you. You think he's gonna want to be friends with you still? And you know what the worst part of all of this is? If Cole had never brought up the beef again after his apology, he would have been completely fine. I mean, after the diss tracks ended, people were out here saying Cole was the true mastermind of the whole beef because he avoided things before it got ugly. This whole why can't we be friends mentality that Cole's running with now just reminded everyone that he really just doesn't want the smoke from either side. I think this comment under FD Signifier's reaction to Port Antonio really sums up my thoughts perfectly. So overall, my thoughts here are pretty similar to most other J. Cole tracks. Great beat, great rapping, hell, even some great lyrics, but terrible message. But anyways, those are my thoughts on J. Cole's newest single. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel with the bell rung to see new uploads from me every single Saturday, and sometimes Wednesday, unless I say otherwise in my community posts. Also, leave a comment letting me know what you think of the track and how Cole handled this whole beef. I'm sure there's a lot of Cole fans out here that completely disagree with what I'm saying, but still, I'd love to hear why down below. And finally, if you'd like to support the channel further, you can now become a member and receive early access to my videos, as well as a special shout out from me at the end of them, as you'll see on screen right now. So join up if you're interested, it really does help me out a lot. But yeah, that's about it. Actually, you know what? I have a friend that's a massive J. Cole fan. I wonder what he has to say about this. Let me call him.
Buenos dias.
Yeah, you're on speaker right now. J. Cole sucks.
What the fuck did you just say about my Lord and Savior?
I said J. Cole sucks. His new song sucks. What are you gonna do about it? He's not gonna do anything about it. Oh shit. Hey man, wait a minute. I'm sorry, I was joking. I love J. Cole. Please, please.